Making headlines tonight, close to $500,000 pledged to assist Bahamians affected by Hurricane Dorian. Several judges appointed as part of efforts to improve the justice system. Crop over stakeholders celebrated for contributing to a successful festival. And coming up in sports, Cricket West Indies rings in the changes after recent poor results on the field.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC Newsnight, starting now.
I am Shane Jones, leading the news at 7. Barbadians have pledged close to $500,000 to help the Bahamas' recovery efforts after Hurricane Dorian devastated the islands of Abaco and Grand Bahama a week ago. Lisa Broom has more.
For over 7 hours, Barbadians tuned in. They opened their hearts and their wallets, and they showed the people of the Bahamas just how much they care. And local artists, singers, dancers, and musicians ensured they were well entertained. It wasn't long after the 3 p.m. start of the Mediathon that some of the first donors showed up here at the CBC. From the $50 each donated by Little Emma and Haley to the $20,000 donated by the Barbados Light and Power Company, Barbadians heard and responded to the message that no amount was too small to share. And so throughout the evening, the scenes were much the same. Pledges came from as far as Cuba, with Barbados ambassador there, Philip St. Hill, explaining via phone that the CARICOM Councillor Corps came together to make a donation.
We, as a group of heads of mission here, we got together on Thursday and we each made personal donations to the effort. I am not at liberty to say how much we each gave, but it was more than a small sum.
Acting Prime Minister George Payne also joined the Mediathon in studio, presenting a $20,000 check on behalf of the Barbados Labour Party in his capacity as chairman.
I must thank Prime Minister Mortley for the effort that was placed in ensuring that she brought home to us the seriousness or that the injury that could come to Barbados as a result of the hurricane. And having known that, I sort of feel for the people of the Bahamas, the people of Abaco. When you look at the devastation which that country has suffered, it very well could have happened to Barbados.
Several Caribbean leaders also called into the Mediathon to share their own experiences with deadly systems, as well as pledging their contributions for Bahamas. The OECS countries committing to $100,000 each. At last count, individuals of all ages, businesses, large and small, churches and other organizations offered up $440,956.41. All in an effort to help Bahamas rise again. Lisa Broom, CBC News.
Thanks so much, Lisa. Now, one of the chief architects involved in organizing the Mediathon and championing the relief efforts for the Bahamas is Barbados Ambassador to CARICOM, Ambassador David Comichon. Ambassador Comichon, good evening. Thank you for coming on.
My pleasure to be here, Shane.
Okay, wonderful. Sum it up for us. Was it a success?
Oh, it was amazing. You know, bear in mind, it was only midday Wednesday that Prime Minister Mortley gave Ms. Carol Roberts-Reefer and myself this assignment to put together a telethon, Mediathon, by the weekend. And, you know, it's just amazing to see how everybody simply came to the table, willing to give their services, you know, from CBC, the senior management here, virtually all of the media houses of Barbados, unprecedented, people who compete with each other, coming together in this great cause, the entertainers of Barbados, the volunteers. You know, I really need to thank the dozens, the scores of people who turned up at CBC yesterday to volunteer their time, to man the telephones, to play roles as hostesses, and the people who gave. Most importantly, the people who gave, the companies, the institutions, but also individual citizens, the little children who came with their $5, you know?
It's one thing for government to give money. when you see the citizens of Barbados coming together and pooling together to give, what does it say to you about Barbados?
Well, Shane, I think this has brought out the very best of the Barbadian character and personality, the humanity, the generosity, the capacity for empathy, for caring. And this has sent a very powerful message, I can tell you, all across the Caribbean. You're quite right. It's one thing when a government gives, and we know the government of Barbados. The government of Barbados will always give and will give generously. But you know, when the people give, that is so much more powerful and meaningful. And I can tell you, I have been, assessing the reactions across the Caribbean. The message has really gone right across the region, including to the Bahamas. I've been looking at social media and so forth. And yes, so there's great appreciation that the Barbadian people came together to hold this mediathon, to raise close to $500,000 Barbados dollars in such a short space of time. And we know this is just the beginning, because the effort is going to continue. We still have the account open, the Sedima Barbados Bahamas Relief Fund at all branches of CIBC First Caribbean International. So that, we are going to far surpass that $500,000.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on, Ambassador.
Thank you, Shane. My pleasure.
Wonderful. Okay, as fundraising efforts to support the people of the Bahamas continue, yet another local business has stepped in to play their part. Inspired by the Rise Again Bahamas Telethon, the Cave Shepherd Company today launched their own relief effort. As Director of Card Services Alison Brown Ellis explains, their aim is to raise at least $50,000. Cardholders will be able to contribute using the Cave Shepherd mobile app or by coming into one of their locations where card payments are facilitated. Ms. Brown Ellis says even if you're not a card holder, you can still make a donation.
They can visit any Cave Shepherd card cashier office to make their donations, or from the convenience of their home, they can transfer funds into the Cave Shepherd card mobile account that was created for Rise Again Bahamas to be able to pledge their, not only pledge their support, but initiate instant payments to that account that has been designated. Anyone, card holder or not, can come in, and our cashiers are equipped with the information necessary to allow them to access that payment so that we can get the funds in through to the designated account.
Barbados has taken a significant step towards improving its justice system with the appointment of several judges to the Court of Appeal and High Courts. Their names were announced by Attorney General Dale Marshall. In the Court of Appeal, those judges are Justice Rajendra Narain, a judge in Trinidad and Tobago, Barbadian Francis Bell, who serves as a judge of the Court of the OACS, and Jefferson Cumberbatch, a leading academic at the University of the West Indies. Now, those appointed to the High Court are Shona Griffith from Belize, Cecil McCarthy QC, who has been acting as a judge in the High Court of Barbados for the last 3 years, leading practitioner of family law in Barbados, Cicely Chase Hardin QC, Barry Carrington, a public servant who also acted as a judge in 2018, and Chief Magistrate Christopher Birch. The Attorney General says following consultations with Prime Minister Mia Motley over the last week, opposition leader Bishop Joseph Atherley has, without any reservation, supported the recommendations that were first made by the Judicial Appointments Committee and accepted by the Prime Minister. The AG also announced that renowned jurist Justice Carlisle Graves will return to act as a temporary judge along with Lorianne Smith-Bovell. These temporary appointments will see the number of criminal courts moving from 2 to 5, with the 2 temporary judges working to clear the backlog. The Barbados Bar Association has been reacting to news of the appointments. CBC's Sharika Griffith spoke with the association's president, Rosalind Smith-Miller, as members of the legal fraternity gathered to observe the start of the new legal year.
The Barbados Bar Association has welcomed the appointment of 3 Court of Appeal judges and 5 more to the High Courts of Barbados. President Rosalind Smith-Miller says the association hopes it will mean quicker court decisions and help to clear the backlog of cases. She's also encouraged by Attorney General Dale Marshall's recent announcement that the cases of close to 70 people charged with murder are set to begin in earnest this month.
I think that when you are speaking of people's liberty, people's exposure to allegations of the most heinous sort, you need to expedite justice. Justice delayed is indeed justice denied, and where you have cases where people have been charged with offenses and for years they're hanging over their heads, those definitely need to be improved. On the other hand, civil matters also affect people's daily lives, so those also need to be dealt with expeditiously.
Ms. Smith-Miller was speaking after a church service to mark the opening of the legal year 2019 to 2020 at the White Park Wesleyan Holiness Church. Acting Registrar of the Supreme Court Barry Carrington says the theme for the year is excellence in everything.
It's a poignant reminder of what we must give to those whom we serve. The legal profession has undergone some challenges in the not too distant past, and I welcome this opportunity at this commencement service to urge us as members of the fraternity to recommit ourselves to providing excellent service.
During her sermon, Reverend Esther Willoughby provided some examples of excellent service.
Doing what is right, even when not being observed, when no one is around. Going beyond the call of duty. Being trustworthy and being committed to your word. For instance, don't tell your secretary to convey to a client that you are not in the office when you are there. That's a lie.
Following the service, members of the judiciary proceeded to the Supreme Court for a special sitting. Sharika Griffith, CBC News.
Crop Over 2019 has been described as a sweet one, notwithstanding the challenges and struggles. Barbados recorded high visitor arrivals for the festival, with the highest volume coming from the US and UK markets. The National Cultural Foundation celebrated all stakeholders of the festival as it hosted the 2019 Crop Over Awards ceremony at Queen's Park House in historic Bridgetown. Kishmar Sanjist reports.
Crop Over Correct. With the climax of the 2019 season, stakeholders were given top marks for aiding in the success of the festival. Culture Minister John King says commitments made will follow through. Minister King says being Crop Over Correct calls for a general acceptance of ownership of the festival.
Recognizing that we all have a stake in its preservation and the shimmering gold in each story on this journey to becoming Crop Over Correct. Every success for you, the awardees, for the festival and across the board is an admission ticket to a new set of expectations. These growing expectations will require that we continue to make change. It's inevitable. You cannot expect a difference if you don't endeavor to make a change.
The Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation came in for high commendation for its partnership in creating a 100% crop over station.
This radio partnership was the first of its kind and allowed for a more focused and broader perspective of the festival. No radio station has ever dedicated 100% of its content to the Crop Over Festival, and initiatives like this can only augur well for the future. As we take the lessons learned to improve on content and build on audience impact going forward.
Heartfelt thanks were also extended by the NCF. The NCF played a key role in re-educating Barbadians about the importance of crop over.
So as you can see, the foundation is not only about the festival in relations to the partying and the great parts that we enjoy, but it's also the serious parts that we must as a people acknowledge and always remember why we are here. So the foundation has its role in those roots as well. We encourage Barbadians to get Crop Over correct and become more involved in the festival this year. To say that this year's slogan rode a wave of success and really got embraced by the public at large would be an understatement. We also sought this year to decentralize the festival.
The winners announced in several categories following the Crop Over Festival were present to collect their awards. Among them, the Junior Monarch winners, the Pickety Crop King, the Best Songwriters. That award went to the Water Street Boys. Congratulations. Kishma Senjis, CBC News.
Checking in with our regional neighbors now, the Ghana government says it supports the decisions made so far by the Ghana Elections Commission as the country moves closer to conducting yet another regional and general election. HGP-TV's Handel Duncan has the details.
The list that will be produced from the just completed house-to-house registration and a current list will result in a cross-matching of information, according to Director General in the Ministry of the Presidency, Joseph Harmon. He said based on his understanding, after the cross-matching, then another list will be arrived at.
So at no time, my understanding is, will you have the house-to-house data put into one bundle with the current existing NRR?
This understanding, according to the Director General, has been translated to the opposition leader and the opposition-appointed commissioners.
But they are making a big issue out of merging because it's really grabbing onto a title rather than understanding what are the impact of what it is that they're doing.
It is the commissioners who have access to the technical data, the former government minister stressed. Additionally, examining the timeline to get all that is required completed in a timely manner, Harmon stated that the competence and timeliness rest with the Ghana Elections Commission.
The dangerous level of contamination of a major river in Belize is taking a toll in many sectors. Schools and businesses have been forced to close their doors. More in this report.
Hotels, restaurants, and tour operators have been losing money since the health of the New River began slowly deteriorating over the course of many weeks. Raul Pelayo, who preferred to comment off camera, owns Lamanai Riverside Retreat. He has been in business for about 25 years in the heart of Orange Walk town at the bank of the river. Here, he offers rooms and runs a restaurant. Since May, business here has been very slow.
We try to fight it out, but we do have tourists that have come in and they are not able to buy food from the restaurant because, I mean, how can you eat when you're smelling that pungent scent that comes out of the river? You know, it's difficult for them.
Orlando de la Fuente runs 2 hotels and a restaurant all nestled along the river.
The tours that we do, the area of the river between here, Maracas, and the toll bridge has been one of the most abundant in wildlife and birds and crocs because it's hardly traveled. We are the only tour operator that departs Lamanai from Orange Walk. But we have had to change our departure point to toll bridge because this isn't a site that we want our guests to see or smell.